The following audio recording has been designed for learning purposes only. Do not share, distribute, or provide any type of copies, or this audio lesson will not be made available to you. Good luck with today's lesson.
Okay, let's chat for a couple of minutes while you guys are watching the video and working on this lesson. There's a couple of things that you're going to need to know in order to move forward on this, and I'd like to come around as you're working tonight, which is one of the reasons why we're using this video, so that I can look at what you have designed and make sure that it works for what we are going to be doing. Okay? Now, up to this point, you've probably gotten maybe 15 to 20 minutes into the discussion on this next lesson, so you're probably looking at how to set up your document and create your beveled edges, which we have to do in a couple of different ways through the use of pre-comps. And I want to walk through some of those setups. But before I do, I want to talk about this particular item that you're going to need to address probably right away, or very, very soon if you haven't come to the point where you're wondering what to do next. In the lesson, there's going to come a point where you're going to use images, okay, to create reflections on the object that you're creating inside of After Effects. All right. Now, to explain this a little bit deeper, we did talk about this in the last class, right? I think I even showed you. Did I show you the video example, that little Lord of the Bling? I played that, right? Okay. So if we look at that again, just on the handout for a quick second, you can see that there's reflections and some grungy stuff that's happening on the. Go like that. There we go. Some grungy stuff that's happening on the actual type itself. Okay, we can see that there. We can see all these reflections. We can almost, it's a little tough on this particular still, but you can almost see the reflections of the environment as well around this logo. Okay? So there's an image that helps create the reflection. There's an image that reflects into the object. There's another image that helps us create that grunge effect, as well as the tools inside of After Effects. Those images, which are also procedural, which means swappable. We can try one, nope, I don't like that, we can try another, and it doesn't wreck the thing that we have created. Those images are necessary in order to be able to accomplish this lesson. So instead of you going out and finding a bunch of high-quality environment images, which is, I think, not too cool, right? It's what we have to do. But to make it easier for you, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to have to dig for the grunge images or the HDRI images that I turned into environment maps, okay? Or just the average reflection images that we're going to be using. You should start to develop over time, especially inside of After Effects or any motion design related field, but really any art field. Okay, whether you're a graphic designer, motion designer, videographer, illustrator, whatever it is, you should start to develop your own reference library, right? Your own library of images. And no, Google's not a giant reference library of images. It really isn't. I know that it seems like it is. You can type something in, and there's a big version of the thing I want, and I'll just take it, and no strings attached, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And there are strings that are attached, and there's everything wrong with doing that, but we're not going to talk about that today. The reason why I'm saying this is in the resource volume inside our folder, so 1900 Intro to Motion Graphics on resources, so our server, the resources volume, inside that folder, are a series of images for you to use for this lesson. Okay, they're a little bit big, or at least they were. So normally I don't put those on Dropbox to download because they're just big. There's a lot there. Okay, I might change that because I was able to get that zip pretty small this time. So I might actually add those to the folder for download. But right now, so that you don't have to worry about doing that, you can go right into the student volume and grab that folder called Stills and just drag that right into your Project 2 folder that you've got on your machines in your data save. Okay? And you will need that folder of images at some point. If you're not there yet, in the video as you're following along with me step by step telling you what to do, digital me, movie me, robot me, whatever you want to call it. Okay. At some point when you hit that area, you're going to need these images. And we're going to talk about how to import them into the project that you're going to create. I'm going to have you create your own project. The video talks about opening a project. I'm going to have you start with your own project. I want you to know how to do that. Okay? And I think you can because we've already done that in Project 1. Okay? So make sure you've got that folder because that you will need. Okay? So again, Intro to Motion Graphics in the resource volume. If you don't know how to connect to the resource volume, let me know by raising your hand, and I'll come by and make sure that you know how to get in. And then in there's a series of folders. The only one you have to be concerned with right now is the one that's today's lesson, which is Project 2. And that's where the stills are. Okay? I hear somebody chatting away. I don't know if they're catching what I'm saying or if it's just... Oh, good. All right, well... Okie dokie. We'll see how long that lasts before I get irritated at that. It's one of my triggers. Hey, let me talk right over the instructor. Nothing's going to ever come of that that's bad. No. My bad. Cool. We've established that. Thank you. All right, so moving forward, looking at this handout, if we look at this image, that's why we want those images from resources on our machine. So when you get to a point where you're actually able to create the reflections necessary to get this to look realistic, you'll have the tools to do so. And you'll also have a decent start on images that you can use for other effects and textures and elements of the like in the future. Okay, so I am excited and thrilled if I was able to help you start your reference gathering career, I guess. Okay. If we go down the post for this assignment, and again, we did talk about this in the last class getting started. I have looked at several of your logo animations, by the way, and I've got some stuff that I'm going to say on that in a little bit. But since we're recording, I'll cut to that when we're done. Make sure that when you're naming your files, so probably the first thing you're going to do is create an After Effects file and then want to save it. This is the naming convention for everything we're going to create. So your AEP file should be called this as well, right? I would even call your main composition something like this. That way when you render your movie out, your title is basically ready for saving. Okay, and we'll talk about that when we get to the point where we're saving stuff off. Okay. The only other thing really here to see that I wanted to talk about was the site that this lesson was kind of inspired from, and that is Video Copilot, which we also took a brief look at in the last class. So I don't think we have to spend a whole bunch of time on this. I think you already know enough about this site to explore it. But this video right here, which you can see linked from our post, let's go back to that. Okay, this video right here is actually another version of the same process, more or less, that we're using to create our procedural animation. Now, I keep saying procedural. What am I referring to when I say procedural? This is an important concept to get. Otherwise, you're going to think this is an exercise in making a simple thing really complex for no reason. Why do we care? Procedural effects. Whoop-de-doo, Sean. So what? What's procedural mean?
It means you can plug stuff into it. It's like a calculus formula. You can plug different stuff into it.
Preach.
And it works.
That was perfect. You can just plug stuff in all day. You can change stuff out, plug stuff in, and the formula still works. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say it's a easily manipulatable set of variables that you could just change over time.
Yeah, you guys both sound like Spock in the episode when he figures out what the disease is that's killing the crew. All the red shirts are dying. And then Scotty's down in the engine room, and he's like, Captain, I can't fix this garbage, right? And they're like, you gotta do it in 20 seconds. He's like, okay, I can do it in 10, right? So just like that scene in Star Trek where Spock saves the day with the right answer, Both of you nailed it. And I'll bet you were wondering how I was going to bring that Star Trek reference back to the surface and make it relatable. Thank you. You live long and prosper as well. Procedural animation means we can do something more than once with ease. You know, if we do it one time, the first time we do it, it's going to be a headache. But after that, it's smooth sailing, baby, because we can just go in, change things out, and Bob's your uncle, right? We could make a whole movie intro with, let's say, the technique that we're using here, and we would only have to set up the main title. And then any name after that, any credits after that, we just flop in the new credits, and the effects would update, and then we would just keep rendering, changing, rendering, and changing. So procedural-based animation has a very real reason for existing in the world of motion design and visual effects. Okay? For us, this lesson has a dual purpose. It's not just understanding procedural-based effects, or even effects for that matter. For us, the complexity of this lesson, and it is complex, is part of the reason why we're doing it. Okay? I could go option A and say, you know what, baby birds, we're going to take this one effect at a time, and today we're going to make a new project and we're going to use this one effect. And then the next class, today, baby birds, we're going to make another project and use this effect. And then the class after that, same deal all over again. Or we can learn After Effects the way that you will use After Effects. You're never going to make a project and just make one little tiny ball bounce and now your project's done. Okay? You're never going to make a project and make one little hat fly across the screen and then be done with the project. When you work on animations, your scenes are going to be full. Your compositions are going to be full of all sorts of tools and pre-comps and shape layers and masks and mats and this and that and the other. And I want you to get comfortable navigating a complex composition or series of compositions. Being able to navigate and name and keep track of what we're doing is just as important now to learn as everything else. Because complexity is the name of the game when it comes to After Effects. You will never, ever work with this software and not have a complex scene. It's not like, you know what, I can make cute small renderings and then I'll make big complex renderings later in Photoshop. Or I can make cute little logo icons and sell those on Etsy and then also make full-blown illustrations later using Illustrator. With After Effects, there's no middle. It's either nothing or all go, no quit into super complex. Okay? And I think you guys can kind of see that just based on your first project, right? Notice how as things started to get a little more complex as far as the look went, the tools that you used started to get more complex as well. Not hard to use, just complex in what you had to manage, right? Each tool is relatively easy to learn how to use, especially by itself. But as a group, it becomes something else. And you have to learn how to manage that as well as learn the tools themselves. Otherwise, even if you know some of the tools, you're still not going to be able to get the software to be bent to your will. Does that make sense? So this project is a way for us to kind of jump into the deep end of the pool for a little bit with a lifeline, right? Because we can easily walk back and forth, change things, fix things, delete things, because A, it's procedural, okay? And B, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you to do this, but not for as long as I had to make you do it today, you've got a very clear and concise, paint by the numbers, step-by-step lesson video for this assignment that you've already taken a look at and probably already are accustomed to. Like, man, I could just watch this video and do the whole entire thing. Exactly. Okay, if I go back to that video for a second, it's my voice even, right? If you look down here, and I've brought this up before, I'm going to definitely bring it up again, take a look at all these timecode links, right? This video is longer than most movies you go to the theater to see nowadays, okay? There's a lot here. And to make you sit through this for more than one time unnecessarily would be deliciously evil. No. would be awful. I wouldn't want to do that to anybody. Okay? So, using these time code links to be able to jump back and forth once we get through this process once or twice will mean that when you're trying to remember one of those many tasks, if you can jot down what it was, you can find it here more than likely, and then click the link and continue moving. I guarantee you that if you go through this crucible and you come out the other end with a project set up and workable, not only are you going to be really proud of yourself, you're going to be very comfortable with the interface and the effects tools and the process by which we use them. And bonus, you will have worked on something that's essentially a high-end Hollywood-style project, because this method came directly from Andrew Kramer with several tweaks from me, but directly from Andrew Kramer, who did this for movies and television. So this was something he did for a project, and then he turned it into a lesson for you, and that's why we're using it. Does that make sense? Now, if you try this at home, there's a couple of things that I should make you aware of. We have on these machines in this room a plug-in called Saber, which is what created that blue, cool, like smoky highlight behind the lettering here. Okay, Saber, if you went to Andrew Kramer's website, let me click on that and go back to here, is actually a free plug-in. Okay, it might not even be listed over here anymore because it is free.
Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, did I pass it? So it's over here?
I don't know if it's there, but I found it.
Let's go over here. Let's see if he lists it underneath all this fun stuff. Oh, no.
I have it.
Yeah, you got the page right there. Let me do this. We'll come over here and type Saber. You guys. It's your site, Andrew. Of course it's here. Here, let's go over to his blog. And let's type Saber into blog. There we are. So the plugin comes from this page. I've already got it installed on all of these machines in the room because I did battle with our IT group, our service desk, and I won. Yay! And that's not what I want. I want the cool tutorial or the cool trailer video for this. Let me find it here. Oh, fine. Here, we'll mute poor Andrew. I think he plays it right up front. Yep, here we go. So Saber, which is about to, you'll see the trailer for it, is another free plugin for After Effects. I have it installed on the machines in this room, but if you try this at home, he's making jokes right now. Here we go. If you try this at home, you're going to be missing this plugin because you have to get it from Video Copilot and install it. Okay? And the effect, if we skip all that, the jokes that he's telling right now are fabulous, but they wouldn't make any sense. There we go. That's what Saber does. Okay, of course. It makes lightsabers and cool energy effects like this, like that right there. And this effect is also procedural in the sense that you can lay it down, make changes to it, update it, and it will automatically update within your scene. Okay? So this plugin, if you decide to work on this lesson at home because, man, oh man, this looks really cool, I want to use this, you're going to have to download it for free from Video Copilot and then install it. And you can do that if you go to the tutorial page. There's a button that allows you to download it for Windows or Mac. Okay? Toward the bottom of the screen for the blog post. So go under blog, type Saber there. You'll find it there. It'll get you there the fastest. Okay? And he puts out tools like this a lot that he makes and uses on projects like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, and then he'll post them for After Effects users. So it's a great resource, not only for great tutorials, but also for stuff like that. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that in case, again, you go home with your project, you open it up, you want to play with Saber because you see it in the demo video, and lo and behold, you don't see Saber at home. Okay, and that happens a lot with effects inside of our software, Adobe After Effects. Okay, one of the things that really sucks, but is a constant with this software, is the fact that there are many companies that write many tools for After Effects. So After Effects is not only a great tool for all this stuff, it's also kind of a vehicle for other tools that people sell or create to get stuff done inside of the software. Okay, you're looking at several tools right here, right on screen, okay, that are sold by Red Giant as plugins that you would have to then install into After Effects. Okay, and you see all this and you say, well, can't you just do all this naturally with After Effects? And the answer is sort of yes, but really hell no, and that's why these tools exist, because you'll get there a lot faster using these tools than you will by trying to get After Effects to do all this natively, and you'll definitely see that in this lesson. So there's lots of effects that are sold as third-party tools, and then there's lots of effects that exist directly in the software, and that can get really confusing as well. Okay, that is why we're talking about this in the second lesson, and that is why the one tool that isn't a part of After Effects that we are using that raises the quality is one you can get for free. Okay, because most of the time these plugins are not only not free, they can be pretty damn expensive. Okay, even the student discount versions, right? There's a whole series of tools called Trapcode. They're actually made by Trapcode. I think we all just call them the Trapcode tools. We go under here, there's the Trapcode suite. Okay, and these are basically an industry standard package of effects that you can purchase for After Effects. These also we have installed. We've paid for the license. We have them here for you guys to learn, and we will begin to learn these as we learn more about After Effects in the class.
Introducing Trapcode Suite 15.
And we don't need two narrators. We already got me. And in this little demo reel that you're seeing here resides a ton of examples of these plugins being utilized, these Trapcode plugins. There's Particular and Form and Shine and 3D Stroke and Lux and Mirror and Sound Keys. There's just a pile of these tools. And they range from one end of the spectrum to the other as far as what you can do with them and how you can utilize them and the crazy visuals that you can develop either in part or completely by using them. And we're going to get to all of this fabulous and complex cool stuff as well, or at least as close to it as we can. Okay? We can't learn all of this in a single day or a single session because, I mean, look at all this stuff. Of course it's going to take some time to figure out. Okay, that is why, again, we're starting with a complex scene and a complex procedure, but a very not complex design and output, right? It's going to be fairly simple what we're going to end up with, but we're going to learn some decent mechanics along the way to make our understanding of how After Effects works when we get into these tools easier. Okay? Does that make sense? So this is a far cry from hit the P key, there's position, turn on the stopwatch, move down the timeline. We're graduating from there up to another level inside of After Effects because you did that, you survived that. Okay? Does that make sense? So unfortunately, there are a lot of tools that you'll probably end up wanting to use or will use in this room that you won't be able to use at home unless you purchase them. Okay, Trapcode and their demo reel that goes on for a millennia, it feels like. Let's minimize this. They actually offer a free trial, which is kind of nice because it at least allows you to work, let's say at home. We've got it here, the full version. The trial puts a red X through your scenes, okay, but you can come in here with that same scene and all your settings and then render without the red X simply by opening your project here. So you could essentially scam the whole system and work with the trial, deal with the red X when you're at home, and then just come in here when you want to render something out from your scene using these tools. Does that make sense? If that doesn't quite float your boat, they do have education pricing. Seems like it's always a pain in the ass to find it, but I'm going to try pricing today and see if they did update it. Good, they did update it. Before it used to be a real pain. The individual license is $1,000 because they go, we're trap code. We know you're going to pay it, right? For students and teachers, they go, it's half off, $500. To which we still go, and the jaw hits the floor, and they go, we're trap code. Of course you're going to pay it. Okay, so any way you can cheat them out of their money, thumbs up from me. So if you download the free trial, work with the red X, and then come in here and render, yahoo, we win. That's a good deal. Okay, because we've already paid for the license for you guys to use it in the room. Okay, the one thing that I can't abide, because I just can't, and it's not just because I'm recording this demo, is just blatant theft, right? You'll never hear me talk about torrents or any of that kind of nonsense in class, because I don't believe in that. Although this kind of blatant price gouging kind of makes me think about it sometimes, like, well, kind of get it, right? But it's still bad and you shouldn't do that. But you don't have to. You don't have to worry about any of that if you download the free trial. Work at home with that, and then come in here to render. If you render a scene for me with a red X, later on when we start to use some of these plugins, I'll have to murder you. No, I won't even care, because I know why it's there, and it's for me. Does that make sense? So really, if you have a red X in your scene and you don't want it, it's because you're going to put that sample out online for you to show people, or maybe to show possible employers, and that's when you want to make sure you're rendering it without the red X. But if it's for an assignment for me and you're like, Sean, if I have to pay $500 just so that you don't knock 3 points off my file, don't even worry about the rest of that sentence, because that'll never happen. Does that make sense? And I will not push these plugins on you, although we will try to use them from time to time, because they're used all the time by most everybody that works on VFX heavy After Effects projects. If you're making 30-second MoGraph explainers or animated logos like what we did on the first project always, then you wouldn't really need to know about these. But since that's not going to happen and you'll end up working on VFX stuff as well, because you just will, at some point this pricing thing is going to zap you. Okay, so if we can put that off for a while, terrific. Okay? That makes sense? Cool. So this situation with plugins is going to come up a lot. Unfortunately, with all the great advancements that After Effects has come up with, they still kind of get it wrong when it comes to those cool finishing effects like what we saw with Trapcode and even the Saber plugin. Like, they get real close with their tools, and then they just say, the third-party developers will get you the rest of the way. Just pay them. And it's like, no, jerks, we already pay you a monthly subscription. Why don't you write the tools that are as cool as theirs, or buy their tools and put them in the software? And you haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. So if you ever say, well, why can't you guys just show us how to edit the way that those plugins look so that we can just make that without the plugins? If we could, we would have a long time ago, and they'd be out of business. Does that make sense? Sweet, good. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we're working on this lesson as well, so that we can have that talk about effects. Having said that, After Effects has a whole entire panel with piles of effects for you to use for various uses. Again, this gets a little muddy because, and you're going to see this in this room, some of these tools you'll find in your version of After Effects at home, some you won't, okay? Because when you purchase third-party plugins and then install them into After Effects, they go right into the same effects menu as everything else. So, well, gee, does that mean that I don't get these Boris effects tools? And the answer is yes, you do get this one, because that does come with After Effects. Cool. What about this Cinema 4D plugin called Cineware? Do I get that? Yep, that comes with it too. All these look like they probably do, and they do, right? But then you get down here, and it's like, all right, well, this looks like Boris Effects Mocha. It says RG Magic Bullet. I get that, right? Nope, that's a third-party tool. Okay? So it's really difficult to know what's what just based on the menu that you see in this room when you're using After Effects. Okay? So when you're taking a project like this one and you want to take it home, let's say, to work on it, or you finish a project here and you want to just basically collect it and take it home so that you can have it. Do you guys remember what we did in the last class when we collected your HIP logo? Okay? And I told you, oh man, this is the coolest thing. See this report? And you were like, report? What the hell? Out of everything he could have called cool, he's talking about the report right now? And let me show you something about that report one more time, if we didn't catch it the first time. Because now it's going to make sense why it's kind of cool. Let's go into, I already copied these off of here, that's right. Sorry. I have to go in here now. Let me show you why that's pretty cool. We'll go into this folder. There's 1900. Here's your work. And let's just pick Mark since it's at the top here. And without opening this project, I'm just going to click on this report and go like that. Right there was an effect that was used. Okay? So if you take your project home and you open it up and go, man, half the stuff I did in the classroom's not showing up anymore. I wonder why. If you collected for output your project, then you'll get this handy-dandy little document, and it'll show you what effects that you used and what they are called. And from that, you'll be able to search out those effects online and at least know what's missing. So you'll know what to steal. Just kidding. So you'll know what to pick up the free version of so that you can continue to work. Does that make sense? Good. I wanted to make sure that we circled back so that you could understand why we brought that up. So coming back to After Effects and looking at this project for a second, I'm not going to walk through this lesson. I don't know if you guys caught this yet. I'm not going to walk through this lesson step by step with you. Okay? At least not me out loud in front of the room. Okay? And here's why. If I did that, then you'd be watching me talk while you're sitting there for probably a solid 3 hours, maybe 4. Okay? It took me almost 2 hours to get through a video, and I was by myself describing what to do, step by step, but by myself with no interruptions. Okay? You're going to have questions, because why wouldn't you? Right? So if I try to describe this whole entire thing, it's probably going to take us forever to get through it. And you know how much fun it is to remember all the things I said from 2.5 days of talking all at once when you're working, right? That's not going to happen. So what I would like you to do is to continue using the video that I've given you to walk through the lessons step by step. And what I'm going to do to make myself useful, probably more useful than if I stood up here trying to go hoarse saying everything that's required to do, is come around and help you as you get stuck walking through the lesson. Does that make sense? So you've got your video, you also have your project, you're going to set up your project, you're going to start watching the video, and then you can pause Sean, digital Sean, that jackass, anytime you want. Time to shut up now, Sean. Boom, you can turn it into a game, right? Just, don't hurt my feelings if you don't mind. You can be like, shut up, Sean. Ah, that's fun. That's beautiful when you can do that, okay? You can also download the video and then do that at home. You can play the home game, okay? And if you download the video, and this is something that I may have pointed out to you guys, but I'm going to do it again. If we download the video, if I play this, shut the hell up, Sean. I can see, I do it. I can fast forward this by holding down the Option key, right? So now we're going 1.5 times speed because I'm holding down the intro button and hitting that fast forward button. You can still hear the words, but it's a little bit faster. Now, who cares normally except, well, wait, this video's almost 2 hours long. If he talks 1.5 times speed and I can still understand it, well, that just made it about 1 hour and 20 minutes long, or even closer to an hour, or yeah, it would be about 1.5 hours to 1 hour and 20 minutes long, as opposed to 2 hours, right? If you can, hack it at double speed, you can only go up to 1.9 and still hear my voice.
We're going to get a chance to see how we apply effects and plugins to our compositions. We're going to take a look at the effects and presets panel.
Then you can cut down what you're listening to almost by half. Okay? You're welcome. Even I can't stand the sound of my own voice sometimes, so you guys must, yeah. I think enough said there, right? So, you can grab the video and you can do that. I kind of like using both. When I've worked with media set up like this, because believe it or not, this is a model. It's not just what I do. Because you can kind of jump from one link to the other if you know what the links are. Like, what's that import process again? That happens at 19 minutes. Cool. Then you can go back to the video, open it up, click on, the little playhead, drag it to 19 minutes and play it, or just click this. Okay? But this is a ridiculously long project, and I've tried to walk through it before with students, and every time, the few times that I've tried this, maybe 3 or 4 times, at the end they're always like, yeah, I think I got more out of watching your video, just because it was easier and you didn't have to say the same thing 4 times, because people all understand things at their own pace. Does that make sense? So here's what I'm going to do while you're watching this to make sure that my time and your time is being utilized well. This video will go up on Vimeo soon. What I'm going to do right now is start by coming around and looking at your designs while you're going through this lesson with, Video Me. Okay? If we get to a point, and I see it from talking to everybody, where we're hitting a snag throughout the room, like everybody seems to get caught up on how we set up the initial texture, then I'll stop things and demo that. Does that make sense? That way everybody can get the demo that they need and not have to wait literally 3 classes until we're done and you can start working. Okay? Any questions on that so far? So if you don't have headphones today, I forgot to bring that up in the last class. I was going to even remind you to bring headphones. Sorry that you don't. See if you can muscle through today, and then make sure you have them if you can for the next class, because you'll probably want them for then. Okay? All right. When I come around, I think a lot of you are going to have this anyways, but I'm just going to ask to make sure. Have somewhere viewable or easy to pull up your, what we're calling a logo element. Okay? Your logotype for this project. Okay? Your version of this, if I go into my pre-comp and then down to my logo 01, okay, I want to see your logotype, the thing that you've created. And I have seen it for some of you already, but I'm going to come around and check everybody's again. Okay, just as a reminder, don't forget, in the next class, you guys are going to have a quiz on your keyboard shortcuts. If you take a look at your Canvas page, I'm trying to get mine to load right now, and you look under Announcements, you'll see that there's an announcement for the quiz. And that's coming up on the, for you guys, it should be the 12th. I'm the wrong thing here. Yeah, upcoming quiz on 9/12, right? And there's the study guide and the hotkeys page for you to use for your review. Okay, So all those keys we've been talking about a little bit here and there, they're all listed on that page. And then don't forget that study guide is a series of questions, not unlike what's going to be the quiz. What a coincidence. You can go through those questions and study using that little hotkey page. And that'll be available via Canvas. Tomorrow you'll get an announcement, actually a little under 2 hours from now. You'll get an announcement that'll give you the access code for the quiz as well. And we're going to set aside time to take it in here in the next class, so you don't have to worry about it outside of the room. I just want you guys to have access to it so that if you do have to miss class on Thursday, you can still take the quiz that day and be okay. That means that from like 12 a.m. all the way to 11:59 p.m. in the next day, you'll be able to take that quiz. So if you miss the class because your car breaks down on the way here, you still got 4 solid hours to sort things out, and then from a comfortable and hopefully safe place, take that quiz later on, and that'll be fine. Okay, that's why it's set up the way that it is, so that we don't have to worry about scheduling a makeup day and, oh, I got to go to the Learning Center now and take the quiz there or in another room here or anything weird like that. Okay, so you don't have to take it outside of the room. It's just available for that reason. And we'll set aside time in this room to take it, so you don't have to worry about taking it on any other device or anything like that. You'll have an hour to take the quiz through Canvas. You're not going to need anywhere near that amount of time, trust me. If you read over those key commands and have been trying to use them, it ought to take you like 5 minutes to blast through that, like I said before. But it's an hour just in case something goes wrong and you have to, refresh and re-log in or whatever. Also, you can't log in, start the quiz, and then turn it off and then log back in. When you sign in to take that quiz, so you take that access code you're going to get tomorrow, and on quiz day, in case you do it when you're not here with me, you put that access code in and then open up the quiz. It's now open until you finish it. As soon as you close it, that's it. So if you say on question 13, I'll come back in 2 hours and finish this, no you won't, because it won't let you back in. Okay? Because it's a quiz. Just like in class, you wouldn't be able to put the paper down, walk away for 2 hours, and then come back to the room. Okay? So just wanted to remind you guys of that as I'm coming around the room. I thought of that. Mark actually reminded me about that. So there you go. Okay?
I emailed you about that one question about the space room.
Did I send you an answer?
You said, yeah, you responded to Edge and D, but to bring it up during class.
I can. Yeah, I'll look that up, actually, because I remember giving you an answer, but I don't remember exactly what the question was. Let me take a quick peek. Because you're right, if that's confusing, here it is, question about hotkeys. I said I was going to mention it, too, so thank you. Okay, real quick, and this is something that may not actually be in the study guide. I haven't double checked yet to see if it's there or not there. I've been told that it's not there. There's one key command that hopefully everybody uses all the time. Honestly, it's one of the best. But let's make sure that everybody knows it. And it actually refers to number 6 on that study guide. So I think I have Canvas up on this machine as well. Let's check.
I have a question right in front of you.
Well, I can bring it up right here and actually show you guys. Yeah, here we go. So if I go under announcements, sorry, I was clicking on the movie. What an idiot. He's clicking on, we trust this guy? He was clicking on the movie. I don't know. Can't trust him. Doesn't know what a movie is. Thought his whole class was about making movies. Okay, so I'm going to click on announcements in the actual web browser now, because why not? And if I go to our class, so let me get out of student view. You guys need to join the other class on the other day, or they need to join you, so I don't have two of the exact same thing. Here we go. Okay, so if I click on the upcoming quiz post, Okay. Oh, for Pete's sake. I could have sworn I clicked that, but obviously I didn't. There we go. I should take on more classes. That way it's more confusing. Here we go. So, upcoming quiz. Let's click this link. The thing that was pointed out by Danielle, actually, in class was, if you look at question number 6 here, and I believe she's right because she did the homework and even sent me this, but I haven't looked myself yet, and if it's not there, I'm going to add it. In here, I don't actually say, possibly, that the old space bar here is for which tool when you're working inside of After Effects. What's that?
Start of the video.
Well, you can do it for that, but if you've got, let's say, the pen tool and you want to move around in the composition window because you're drawing a mask and you hit the space bar, what do you get? You get the hand tool as a momentary toggle. That's also fairly standard in most Adobe apps, okay? But if I didn't mention it, you sure should know that because look, our possible quiz questions about that, right? So number 6 would be B, the hand tool. Okay, is that important to know? It might be, because that might be the actual question for number 6 on the quiz. Okay, and you can thank her for making sure that you guys and gals know that if I in fact did poop the bed and forget to put that on the list. That's an alarmingly gross visual, sorry. You're going to have to drop that phrase from the mental Rolodex. Okay, does that make sense? So make sure that you jot that down for your studying if you're currently kind of going through these terms and making sure that all that's right. You know, I've given this quiz a couple of times too and nobody caught that yet. So good catch. Okay. And thank you for reminding me too. Okay. I know you got a question. I'm going to get over there soon. I just want to get around the room real quick and try and make sure that I've seen everything. That'll work. Maybe a little bit thicker, which means a little bit larger, but that's a good font. That'll work. Okay, let's take a look over here. How's Lord of the Pie? Ooh. Yeah, I think that'll work pretty good. There is a hunger in all of us for food, specifically pie. You know, I want a slice of apple pie. That's what happens, yeah. I make a lot of food animations too, and food models and food characters, because I realize, oh, that's right, humans eat. I forgot. I think that's going to work pretty good. The only area that we might have a problem is the separation between that wagon wheel, yeah. But I think what you did will offset that. So you that might be one of the things that we update as you're working, because you'll be able to. That's how this is set up when we talk about it. But I think that'll work for me. So good. How are we doing over here right now? We're going.
Good luck with today's lesson.